Welcome, Yo.
Hey, what's up here?
It's good to have you here.
It's good to be here.
So I want to know about your childhood. How did that lead you to become a teacher?
Wow, great question. I'm from Waco, Texas. If anybody's familiar with the states, it's a part of Texas South area. It's about an hour and a half from Dallas, which is one of the larger cities. And I grew up in the country. Literally, there were cows walking down my street as a little girl. And we had horses next door, and I slopped pigs and saw my grandfather wring chicken necks and skin rabbits. So I grew up out there in the sticks of animal land and mixed in with people. And I think it was when I have two sisters, by the way, so I'm one of three girls. And it was one of those times I was at school with my grandmother, who was a custodian at a middle school in the district. And didn't know all this stuff then, but I know it now as used to being a teacher myself. But she had taken me to work with her one day. And I ended up wandering into the supply closet some kind of way, the school supply closet. And I felt like I had entered heaven. Oh my God, there were like shelves of markers and colored papers and pencils and scissors, and it was all organized and neat. And I was like, oh, I love this place. And so I would go home and pretend to play teacher with my younger sister. I would be the teacher, and we'd go over the alphabet. She's 4 years my junior. And so, I was the teacher all the time. It just felt natural. And then my mother was a secretary for a campus. And I was there a couple of times in and out the classroom. So it just resonated being one of those people in front of the students and in the building. So that's kind of how it started. And that was when I was 8 years old that I wanted to be a teacher.
I love it. I tell you, I don't love the bit about the animals because I'm an animal rights activist. So you talking about skin and rabbits just about.
He did. And he actually slipped. His hand got really bloody from one, and he slipped and ended up hitting my cousin in the groin, if that makes you feel any better. The rabbit had his due.
Yeah,
he had his due. Yeah, that rabbit gave his, he left something behind on that one. He didn't go in peace.
Yeah, I like that good karma.
Yeah.
So where did you teach? Did you teach in Waco or did you move?
I did not. No, I got married at 18. I got married when I was 18, moved to Dallas area. And then I didn't start teaching until I was 26.
Wow.
And so I did other jobs. I kept having kids. I'd go to school. I was pregnant at first, right out of high school. Then we got married. And then when I first tried to go to college, I got pregnant a second time. Quit school. We went to school again, got pregnant, quit school. We went to school again. So by the time I started having babies and working all these odd-end jobs, I stuck into the bachelor's program for interdisciplinary studies and became a teacher. That was like in 2000. I got my certification in 2001, something like that. Yeah.
And so you're a secondary teacher or a junior teacher?
I have taught every grade level. Here we go, pre-K to 12th grade. And because of summer sessions, I've taught every single grade level. Wow. But most of my years were in middle school, the 7th and 8th grade. That's the 13, 14-year-olds. That's where most of my years have been. But I've also done the high school kids, and I've done the elementary kids. So I've taught all ages.
Yeah. And you focus on Spanish. Why do you do that? Like, what is it about Spanish that you think is so important or that you love so much?
I didn't start with Spanish. I started out teaching bilingual education, which was self-contained elementary. So I taught science, math, social studies, spelling, reading, all in one classroom with 25 kids all year. But as the years went by and they get really heavy on testing here. And when kids started getting anxiety issues and throwing up during tests and stuff, I had to leave. It was time for me to get out of that. Yeah. So I got certified in Spanish because I've always had a love for Spanish, more or less. I've had a love for Spanish, and I wanted to be a teacher. So they were offering scholarships for bilingual educators. So I went to school on the bilingual scholarship. So I kind of had an in already. And then Spanish was my way out of that classroom with the kids, being all anxious. So I got certified to teach it. And I've been doing that now. I've been teaching Spanish for 15 years now.
When you talk about being a teacher, you talk about the stationery cupboard, it's exciting. You talk about your grandma, wow, it's exciting. You talk about your Spanish, exciting. But there's one thing you talked about in there, and that the kids being stressed and all that kind of stuff. And I think that society places a lot of pressure on us to be to conform and to compete and to not be who we are, and to live up to other people's expectations. And if we don't, we become, well, sometimes we become shunned, or sometimes we perceive that we're going to be shunned, or, it puts a hell of a lot of pressure on. And at some point in there, you turn to alcohol, for the same reasons, to manage with all the crap that life throws at you. And how did that little journey happen? I shouldn't call it a little journey, because absolutely a major catalyst, for you. But how did that happen?
Well, like I told you earlier, I got married very young. I got married at 18 and had my first child at 19. So before I was 25 years old, I was a wife and a mother of 3 kids under the age of 5. And so I grew up watching a lot of television, again, in the country, other than being outside with the animals and the trees and stuff. TV was my escape. And so I thought that my life had to mirror what I had seen the actors and actresses on television. And so I kept putting myself in position to be this perfect everything, perfect wife, perfect mother, perfect daughter-in-law, perfect cousin, whatever it was. I felt like I had to live up to this facade of being who everybody else needed me to be or wanted me to be. And I didn't even know I wasn't myself until less than 5 years ago. All this time I thought that I was being this real, authentic, genuine girl who, spoke off the cuff, who, was honest with everybody. But inside, it really wasn't me. It was what I, again, thought I had to be. I got all these degrees. I have 6 degrees, Karen, 6.
Wow.
I would have had a doctorate, but I just gave up right before writing that damn paper because it was too fucking long. I didn't want to write it. So I almost had 7 degrees. But I kept thinking, this is what you do. You keep going to school, you keep trying to make this money in the positions you're in, and you get the higher graded salaries because you play these games. And it all welled up into pain and frustration. I was always angry. And drinking was fun. Drinking was like my way to have fun, to be myself without having the resentment of me being myself. It was my scapegoat to say, like, oh, I can go fuck somebody now and blame it on the alcohol. I can go, tell the truth about how I really feel and blame it on the alcohol. But really I was expressing myself, wanting to be heard and seen, and the alcohol gave me that freedom. So it became a lot more than just that bottle. It was best friend, counselor, everything. It became the way I celebrated. It became the way I avoided. It was hard to let it go. It really was. And it wasn't even obvious I had to let it go until I couldn't let it go. Until I really sat down one day and had this conversation with a glass of wine, and out loud, I'm telling this wine how much I didn't want it, how much I hated what it was doing to me, how much I was angry about the blackouts and lying to my husband and my daughter trying to rescue me by drinking with me so that I wouldn't drink too much and black out. And she was only 24 at the time. And so, all this hate was in that glass. And I cried that night, and I begged God that night, and I did everything I had known and I had tried before, but I could not pick the glass up. I literally had to have that glass of wine. There was nothing that I could do in my own strength to stop me. So I drank it. And because I had lost so much power, I think, because I lost so much what I thought was control, and it wasn't myself. I couldn't live that way. I couldn't live not having that kind of freedom of choosing what I wanted to choose, right? So I didn't want to wake up that next day. In addition to the wine, I had taken some anxiety meds because I kept trying to figure out what is wrong with me. I had gone to a couple of doctors to figure out if I could be diagnosed with anything else. Can you give me a title so I can say, this is what's wrong with me. This is why I'm angry. This is why I'm frustrated. This is why I'm, sad and miserable. And nothing was fitting until the unsuccessful suicide attempt and sent me off to rehab. And I found out that the disease I had a name, and it was alcoholism. And from this day forward, I realized that I can't cure it, but I can treat it with different things like programs or speaking into existence and sharing with other people and making sure I'm not hiding all that anger and stuff anymore, because that was sick. I was sick, and I still would be sick if I was still drinking. Yeah. But now I have a different kind of sickness. I still have mental issues with that, but at least I'm willing to understand that and not try to mask it, you know, and that mental illness is really just me not being authentic. The more and more I started to become myself, the more and more I did not need or realize I didn't need that or want that, because I was just not living cautiously, not cautiously. I mean, I wasn't living, I hate to say authentically, but it really is what it was. I wasn't living authentically. I was fake living still. And now I don't. Now I just don't. And it's so wonderful.
Yeah, it's amazing. How was that affecting the kids at school, you know, and that sort of stuff? Like, do you think that, how was it impacting people around you when you were living in that state? One, because you weren't of a full capacity, you know, to really sort of be aware of whatever, you know, the impact you're having. But two, the role modeling. You know, like, I know people wouldn't have gone, oh, she's a drunk, I want to be like her.
Exactly right. I wish I could have had the moment to talk to my kids about what I ended up knowing about me, but I never was able to, at least the ones that when I left for rehab, I left middle of the school year. And I did go back that last day, and I was able to tell a few of them that, you know, I was in the rehab facility because Miss Elam couldn't stop drinking. You know, I had a drinking problem. And then one of my kids even told me, yeah, my dad drinks a lot too. So I wish I could have had more of those kind of conversations with my students so they can see that it's reality, that it doesn't, for them to know that you could have a problem like me and still be a great person. I didn't walk around with, I wasn't the stereotypical, that really there isn't one, but unfortunately society makes it seem like that there's stereotypical traits in alcoholics. Like they think that we, you know, are these bums, or, you know, we're really skinny, or we have bottles and bags and shit like that. And that's just not true. And I would love to be that role model for them to see that not only did I realize I had a problem, but look at how I carried myself with that problem, right? And for them to see that there still wasn't really who I was, for them to think that, oh, well, she had it all together. No, I didn't. And to be able to have that conversation with them, that's actually on the bucket list, to be able to have some real talk sessions with students. But you can't even talk to students about that kind of stuff. They don't allow it. It's too real. You know, school districts will shut it down. I wish I could go in there and be like, hey, here I am, this professor in front of your kids, and I'm an alcoholic. You know, I have a disease, but it wouldn't get past coworkers. Even coworkers struggle with it. As far as people around me, I think that for most of them in my past, in my drinking days, they liked it. I was fun. You know, you think I'm fun now? A couple of bottles of wine, I was like hilarious. You know, I was the one that all the shit they didn't want to do, you know, yo, do this, let's go. Yo, let's go here. All right. You know, I was the guinea pig for it all. I was free entertainment. So, but now, you know, the circles I have, when they realize that I'm, you know, not a drinker anymore, they're proud. They proud. And I really think it frees them to admit that they might have problems of their own that they just hadn't faced. A lot of my friends and coworkers of the past have said they really admire my courage to be so bold, to post it out there, to share it out loud, especially like, you know, platforms like you're providing today. The platforms have been to share. Recovery doesn't have to suck, really. Like, you know, they know me. Like, they know I'm still the same fun. I'm just not inhibited fun. You know, I'm not inebriated, you know, fun. I'm not under the influence. I'm still a good person. I'm still cracking them up, and I don't need the alcohol. So I think it just frees people up to be themselves even more.
What you said before, you know, about rehabilitation. So, how was that transition? How, like, you were in rehab for a few months. What were the feelings in that time? And, you know, what made you get up each day to pull through that?
Well, actually, in rehab, it felt like a vacation. I felt like I was finally able to breathe. Because I wasn't in this, I was surrounded by like minds. It was a women's unit. We were all alcoholics or addicts. And so the stories that were shared were stories I could completely relate to. It was nothing that I hadn't done in any of their stories or thought of doing or would have done if I kept going down the path I was on. So it was just really freeing to be heard and seen. And then when I got out of rehab, I continued on, because I ended up being in there it was a 30-day residential where I stayed there overnight for 30 days. Then they have the next level called part-time hospitalization. And that's where you go like a work day. I went to another facility, but I was able to go home. And then there was intensive outpatient where you only went half a day and then you still were able to go home. So going back home was really different. The transition was just it was odd because my surroundings were so familiar. Like, this was my kitchen. This is where I kept my bottle of wine. This is the store. Every time I drove by the store, this is the store I used to go run in real quick and buy the. I mean, it was always being aware that my surroundings weren't going to change because I was changing. So the transition was challenging at first, but I did start a 12-step program. I didn't quite finish it. It started getting a little drab in there. It was really more woe is me. I'm a victim. I struggle with alcoholism, and everybody left me, or I lost my house. Very few stories were of anything with some joy. And so I left the rooms kind of so, but I still utilize the resources that I got from them. But I transitioned by just starting to change my life. I started changing the way I thought, the way I spoke, the way I acted. I just started looking for things that made me feel good. Outside of what I thought the alcohol was doing, because it wasn't making me feel good. It's just what I thought that's what feeling good was, and it wasn't. Feeling good is what I feel right now.
Yeah. And speaking of how you feel right now, you came out of the other side of that into this mission to help other people. I mean, I'm sure that didn't happen straight away. You didn't just walk out of rehab and said, well, I'm on a big mission now to find yourself. But you've obviously negotiated years of, what am I going to do? Where's my purpose? How can I make this good? How can I make this a positive thing? Because you're already thinking about it then. There's no stories of joy, so you're already thinking about how can I make this a positive thing? So on your mission to help others, is it just alcoholics, or are you looking to help everybody find them, or anybody? No, I don't mean everybody, because you can't help
right. You can't, but you can help somebody that can help somebody else, and help somebody else, and the whole ripple effect. I want to help both types of people. I want to help alcoholics by having opportunities like this to speak about my recovery, and hope that somebody out there might be thinking they could have an issue or concern with drinking, and to see that if they chose to stop, they don't have to be a woe is me victim. They can still live in joy and positivity. So that's where the speaking career is going. And I also want to help people who might have found themselves using alcohol as their mask, or if it's not alcohol, it could be something else, but something that is preventing them from being their authentic selves. So that's where the coaching business is coming from. So I'm lining both of them up because I want to serve as many people as I can. And they both are a part of me, not being authentic, but also my drinking problem. They coincide with each other because they fed off of each other.
Yeah. Why do you think it's so important for people to be themselves? What do you think? Because there's a lot of people say, no, I'm happy. I'm fine the way I am. No, thank you. Why do you reckon we really need to express our full selves and put it out there?
I believe the people who says I'm fine the way I am, if they really are the way they are, and I only question it when the actions don't match up with the words. If somebody says, oh, I'm fine the way I am, but yet they complain, or they're drinking a lot, or they're sad, or they're in the same position and woe is me for 30 years and can't wait to quit. Like, that's not living who you are. It doesn't mean that every day is perfect and life is going to always be full of, it's not unicorns and rainbows. But what it does mean is that you're living, right? But you are living in a way that it feels good to be who you are and to do what you're doing. It doesn't feel forced. It doesn't make you cringe to get up every day, or to be around the person you're around. The same thing goes with relationships. Oh, we've been together for 30 years. It's great. But is it great? Like, you don't see those hand holdings. You don't see that little smack on the cheek or the ass on the way to bed. You don't see that. You're like, is it really great though? I mean, you talk more about him or her in a negative way than you do. So it's just little clues lets me know that people aren't being themselves. And if they would let that go, or even more so, if they would accept who they are. Because if you're an asshole, you're an asshole. That's just it. Be that. Don't try to cover that shit up. Don't act like you're not. You're selfish. Go ahead and let people know that you're selfish. And it's all about you. But own it. And be the most happiest selfish person you can be, because that's who you are.
It's so true, though, isn't it? When we're not being ourselves, there's so much conflict, and it's not just conflict,
Yes.
as you say,
Yeah.
in our outward expressions. It's so
Mm-hmm.
much conflict within us, and we've always got that, constant fighting within us, this or that and everything else. But what you're talking about is that when you are, truly being yourself, and we can't all truly be ourselves all the time, because things
Right.
keep pulling at us all over the place.
Right.
But if we can do it as often as possible, when you are in it, you feel aligned, you feel the flow. Do you ever have any setbacks because you're out there saying, I want to be authentic, I want to inspire people to be authentic? And, when we do this thing, because like for me, I'm doing this get off the bench, and when I'm stuck, I feel
Yeah.
like I'm an imposter. I feel like, well,
Right.
I
Yeah.
can't be
Yeah.
telling other people to get off the bench if I'm stuck.
Mm-hmm.
So for you, you're telling other people, be yourself, and then you're going to have days when you're not feeling that. So how do you deal with those? Because I would call them little setbacks. They're just
Yeah.
bumps in the road. But how do you deal with that when that comes up?
Honestly, Karen, I expect them. I learned that through Lee Hicks. I listened to part of your podcast interview with him, and the whole point, Define Your Vision, which I went through. I expect these things to happen. Yeah. And now that I expect them, when they happen, I have a way to deal with them. I stop and ask myself, okay, I'm feeling inauthentic right now, but that's not me thinking that. Right? That's not really who I am. That's not me. That's that imposter syndrome. That's that ego trying to take me backwards. That's that disease trying to get me to pick the bottle back up. I redirect it because I know it's not me. And I know it's just a moment. And what I like about it now is that they come less and less often. And if they do come, they last less amount of time. Yeah. For a while there, they lasted a long time. Like, oh man, all the doubt, all the fears, all the limited beliefs. And now it's like, wait a minute, that's not true. I have evidence that I am being authentic. Even this moment is being authentic by thinking I'm not authentic. Yeah. Because anybody else would be like, oh, I'm fake, and oh, I can't do this anymore because I had a moment where I lied to somebody. But that's human being. Yeah. That's just being human. Yeah. So what I was encouraged, I asked to ask people, say like, just, are you still being a human? As long as you're being a human being, then you should expect those things to happen. Yeah. Now, whether you're lying to yourself about it, that's where the inauthenticity comes back. Mm. But as long as you're being honest and saying like, this is just a part of my growth. It's a part of my life right now. I'm not going to always be this woohoo, everything's wonderful and perfect, but I can be as awesome as I can. Yeah. And surround yourself. Make sure and I put myself in right environments to not have that. How you describe it? Somebody hit me on the back of my damn head. I try to leave, hey, there's somebody back there. You be aware. There's somebody back there. They got a bat. They're coming at you. Oh man, it's gonna hurt, but I got this. It's not gonna knock me out. It might just make me woozy a little bit. You just know it's coming. Yeah. Like literally be in the moments and just enjoy life as it comes. Yeah. I used to have a voicemail. It's funny because now I know how some of this stuff, what this stuff means, like names for it, law of attraction, law of manifestation. But when I was younger, I had a voicemail that says, you can't control what happens to you. You only can control how you react to it. Focus on your attitude. And now I'm like, that's always been true. Nothing is controlled. The outside of me, nothing. But I can control the way I think about it and act towards it. Yep. So now I just stop and say, even myself, I can't control my thoughts. Like you said, I think I can sometimes. Like, nope, I have to stop. But I can respond. I can control the way I respond to my thoughts. Yeah. And that's what I try to do, is stay in that moment, be there, and ask myself the question, is this really you? I still need to cry sometimes, or laugh, or dance, or do things that bring me joy. Yeah. And it just feels good when you let things go. Just let it out. That's self-care. So now you've got this, I call it a business or initiative, or I'm not sure what it is exactly, but programs and that, called Be Yourself. So explain that to us. I don't want to put a label on it because I don't know what the label is, but it's still a work in progress. It's a Facebook community that I started because I just really wanted to get out there and give people opportunities to be themselves, come to a safe space. Right now I tag line it. I have different themes throughout the week, and I put things in there to get people to kind of think about, just getting deeper in their thoughts, like not outside of like, what's your favorite color, but why, or even just reminding ourselves the kind of stuff we used to do when we were kids. I used to love answering questions like, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite food?
Yeah.
What do you like to do for fun? Like, what's your favorite song? Put it on for 3 minutes and dance, naked if you want to. I really like to do things to get people just to get back into their childhood, because that's where they really were. We became, our personality was formed before we were 8 years old. So getting back to that climbing tree stage for me, or for somebody else, for you, it might have been building things, in the back, working with some woodwork, but just doing different things throughout the week to get people to remember this is who you are, or this is who you want to be. So it depends on the day, because I think Mindset Monday, then I have Tip of the Day Tuesday. And so I'm a fitness trainer too, so I'll put tips in there about health and wellness sometimes. So it kind of just depends on the day, but it's just a work in progress. It's women only right now, and I'm working on putting things together where it's giving them value. So they gave me I put a poll in to find out what they want to call each day. So it's Mindset Monday, Tip of the Day Tuesday, Would You Rather Wednesday, which I can't believe that got chosen, but they love Would You Rather. Like, would you rather be caught in a hailstorm of bowling balls or a rainstorm of nails? I'm like, why would you want that? But they like to have that kind of conversation. And then Thankful Thursday and Fun Time Friday. And so every day I fit in that template on whatever the focus is for the week.
So what are your dreams for it? Like, at the moment it's a Facebook community. Do you know what, if you could, have your wildest dream come true for Be Yourself, what would it be?
Honestly, since you asked that, I think what I would love to do is see that as some sort of a program that is presented to teenagers, or corporations. And having that little spin on it in the business sense of how you can be yourself and still be able to perform, be productive. But really to kids, like I can just see a title of it like, what's your story? And just and for the adults, but for the kids, what do you want your story to be? Yeah. And just something where like each thing is going back to authenticity, being yourself and being who you are. But somewhere where I'm in and out of corporations and schools and different workshops, and I can see that, and having banners like that one. Like, get off the bench, be yourself. But I don't know what the picture will look like, because that's cute, the bench. But I don't know what my picture will look like. Be yo. And I like to play on my name, because the be yo, instead of yo, I can put yourself, be yourself. I see a lot of things with that.
Do you think if you hadn't gone through being an alcoholic, you would have done this now?
Not at all.
Yeah.
That's why I said I love the fact that I can go back and look in the mirror and accept all the stuff I did, but also appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because the fact that I ended up in rehab and my marriage is beautiful right now. And I mean, all the things that have come to fruition because of that alcoholism, that journey, I wouldn't be here. I would still be drinking. Let's just say even I took the alcohol out. If I wasn't drinking, I would have found something else to mask, something else to keep playing the game. Overeating, because I gained all this COVID pain. I can see going to sweets and eating too much, or overworking, and I would have just been trying to overachieve in the classroom and become all this stuff that I wasn't, because it wasn't. None of it feels good. Yeah. So I just would have found something to replace it if I didn't have that. But that's why I'm glad. It doesn't really matter what it was. For me, it was alcoholism. But it was that catalyst, like you shared earlier. It was that catalyst that got me to start to really stop and pause. That's why I appreciate COVID. Yeah. Another catalyst at the right moment for me, because I had just been I had just been recovered for 1 year when COVID hit. Mm-hmm. And I know that if I had still been drinking and when COVID hit, unfortunately for my brothers and sisters out there still suffering, this conversation we wouldn't have this conversation. I would be dead right now. Yeah. Because I would have been locked away. And I even tell people, I joke about it now, but I said, fuck toilet paper and paper towels. I would have been at the liquor store stacking up on Crown and vodka and gin and bottles of wine. I wouldn't have been thinking about my necessities because my alcohol would have been my priority. Like, I need to have something to drink. I'm going to be in the house for weeks, months, So it all hit right at the right time. I'm really a firm believer in divine intervention. Everything is happening. This conversation is happening right now. That question you asked me about where I see Be Yourself every day is timely, because I hadn't thought about that. So everything is divine and in order. Yeah. And I say that in addition to the alcoholism, I was supposed to go through that so I can get to where I am now. Everything has a reason, whether I liked it or not. It had a reason. I'd go back to what I said before about take that look in the mirror, look real deep in your eyes, and let yourself know that there's hope. Right. I think when I was drinking, I felt hopeless. I didn't know if it was even possible. And that H in the hope is to seek some help. Yeah. Even if it's like, don't hold it in. Don't, like Carrie said, don't push through. Don't push down. Seek some help. Let somebody know you're hurting, or you're angry, or whatever it is. There was this, unfortunately, a family suicide recently here in Texas, not far from my house, but in Allen. It was a family of 5. These 2 twin brothers had made a pact to commit suicide, and somewhere in that pact, they took their family with them, mother, father, and sister. And it hurt my heart for several reasons. But one lady who spoke, she said, no, nobody said anything, because he put an Instagram post that he and his brother were going to take their lives, and they were just depressed. But it was too late. It was like, we need to start shouting out that we're hurting. And that's why I like this podcast opportunity to let people know it's okay. You're not by yourself. So seek some help. Once you do that, then take ownership. Realize that you can either be a victim or a survivor, but you can't be both. So take ownership, like look in the mirror and say, okay, this is who I am. This is who I want to be, and go for it. And then the P is that pause I spoke of earlier. Stop and ask yourself, is this who I am? Is this what I want? Like, is this valuing me? And pray. Pause to pray, breathe, meditate, do what you need. And the E is to take it easy on yourself, because whatever it is you're dealing with, it didn't take you overnight to get there, and it will not take you overnight to get out of it. Yeah. So find that hope, seek help, take ownership, pause and pray, and take it easy on yourself. And the last thing I say with that is to celebrate the small wins.
I love it. Now, where can people find you?
Well, my group, for one, Be Yourself Every Day. It's me in between. No, it's not me. It's me in between a red umbrella amongst a series of Black ones. So it's very unique to stay Be Yourself. It's ladies only right now. I'm working on whether or not the guys can come in there, but it's something about the women together. It's powerful. Yeah. And then I'm in Clubhouse at Love Your Life. I also have an Instagram, and I have a website too to book me as a speaker to do the Hope Workshop, Hope and Hopelessness Workshop, and things like that. But other than that, I'm getting there. I'm getting myself out there. I'm getting around. So,
Bill, what's your website? I will put it in the show notes. But
it's loveyourlife.me. So it's got the yo in there. So it's loveyourlife.me. As
a live speaker, you would be absolutely dynamic on that stage, and I hope that takes off for you, because more people need to hear your message. And I know you want to talk to the kids, but even if you can speak to organizations or at conferences and stuff like that, and if you hit one person,
yes,
delivering that message, then that's successful. So and I can see that coming, because that's what needs to happen. You actually need to be out there. You need to make people feel less alone, and you need to make a difference. So I can see that coming for you, and I just
thank you, sis.
Thank you so much for joining me. This has been fantastic.
Thank you, Karen. I really appreciate the opportunity to share my story and have a great conversation with you, sis. It was awesome.
It's been wonderful. All right, well, I'm going to catch you again soon, and I really hope that people go follow you and join your Facebook group and really get some love from you, because that's what the world needs, a damn sight more love. It really does.
Thanks, love.
All right, I'll catch up with you soon.
Yes, ma'am. Love ya.
Love you too. See ya.
Bye.